Okay, are we live? It looks like we're live. Okay, guys, today is the day. Today is the day. Ain't that right, Onyx? Onyx, is the day of the day? Onyx, is the day of the day? Say hi. Onyx, is the day of the day? Is it, buddy? Well, I'm out here in the woods. It looks like it's about to fucking rain. And, sitting at my computer desk reading some internet articles, working on some different ideas or some different video essays. And I had a little bit of a thought. Why don't I join another org? I've already been contemplating it a lot recently. Well, I also invited Leftism Today to come in here. He may or may not be here in a minute. For those of you who are here, thanks for tagging along. I know this is kind of sporadic and out of nowhere, and I bet you guys are getting really tired of these unannounced random streams where I'm walking around and about. But as I was saying, I submitted an application to the Democratic Socialists of America. That's right, I'm joining the DSA, guys and gals. And some of you may be wondering why. Why are you joining the DSA? Some people have a very negative opinion of the DSA. Well, reason being is because there is no PCUSA in my city, and the PSL is dead, and well, they kicked me out anyways. But the DSA is alive and kicking. They're involved in local city council, local affairs. They're very involved they're involved in the student unions. They're involved in a lot of important work that's going on in my local municipalities. And, I figure, why not get involved with that? Why not uh, partake? Because that's really the main issue, is like the parties that are truly ideologically aligned with me in the ways that I want them to be. Let's see if LT's in here. Is LT in here? No, he's not. But as I was saying, unhighlight that. You want to be in a party that you can do work with. You want to be in a party that is involved in your local municipalities, even if they don't have the correct line, even if they're liberals, even if they're, quote, co-opted by the establishment and so on. Because it is true that, like, there's a lot of co-opting that goes on of leftist groups and leftist action, especially by Lord knows the Democrats. And a lot of people, there are many valid criticism that you can make of the DSA. It has a lot of problems. However, from what I can tell, the DSA has strong presence in my city. There are a great deal of members. There's dozens of them in my hometown. So, and they regularly meet. They seem fairly well organized. So, and they're involved in like labor affairs and tenants unions and so on. So they're the ones doing the work. So I'm going to go and get involved and do the work with them because I'm tired of armchairing it up, as you guys know. I want to have presence both online and offline. So I'm letting you guys know. And I also encourage you guys, get involved in, if you're not involved in like a party or an org or a reading circle, I encourage you guys to do so as well. And yeah, I mean, that's it. The other reason why is because, I mean, this is kind of like a long-term goal or a long-term idea that I am having. But if let's assume that I'm in the DSA for a few years and I actually get kind of deep into it, because let's face it, they're the biggest socialist org left of center in the country. And they actually do get media attention. Like, they have the numbers, they have the people. So what I'm thinking is, if I'm involved and hopefully things go smoothly, as I certainly hope that they do, because, hold on a second, someone's messaging me. But perhaps a Marxist-Leninist caucus of sorts could be formed within it, because I know they have a bunch of different caucuses for different political wings and ideologies and groups. And though the party is a multi-tendency party that's dominated primarily by radlibs and social democrats and, well, democratic socialists, So revisionists, as well as identity opportunists, there are more radical components in the party, and there are Marxist-Leninists that are sparsely involved in it. So within the DSA, I see the kernel or the roots for a potentially more radical party. I think that genuinely you can, so to speak, no pun intended, push them left. So I think it's actually possible because they're not really backed by any corporate conglomerates. And while they do have, like, in a sense, they're in bed with the DSA. I'm glad you asked, Tovarish. The DSA it's the biggest socialist org in America right now. It's called the Democratic Socialists of America. It is a center-left, moderate reformist org with roughly 90,000 members, 100,000 members, and I'm going to be joining it. I filled out my application because they're very big, and damn you, dog. He's going nuts. And yeah, that's kind of the goal. The long-term goal is to form a caucus within it and try to reconstitute it so that it could make a more hard left turn and, potentially turn it into a recruiting ground for more revolutionary politics. Because within the DSA, I see the makings of a more radical party. I see the makings of a more ideologically principled ML org of sorts. And, even if that doesn't happen, well, at least I got important work in the short term done. There's a lot that you can say about the DSA, mainly their close corroboration with the Democrats is a genuine concern. It is a very genuine, and it is starting to rain. It is a genuine concern, and it's a reasonable criticism. However, they're not in bed with the Democrats. It's not like they're funded solely by the Democratic Party or, a wing of the Democratic Party. They're just tied to the more progressive elements of the Democratic Party, like they were voicing their support for Bernie Sanders. And thankfully, they didn't vote blue no matter who. They didn't condone Joe Biden, which, in my eyes, is a huge glimmer of hope. That's one massive glimmer of hope. The fact that they didn't endorse Biden. Drop that stick, you little fucker. Hey, drop it. Drop it. Anyways, I said drop it, dog. So, yeah, pretty much. Also, they do face resistance from the feds. They face a great deal of pressure and frustration from establishment politicians, from the media, obviously from conservatives. They face a great deal of resistance. So they're facing resistance. They get discriminated against by the political process. So that tells me that they're not really co-opted or truly integrated within the establishment. I don't doubt that they have opportunistic leadership. I don't doubt that there's close ties to the Dems within it. And the identity opportunism, like in their 2019 meeting, is very cringe, very, very cringe, bro. So, yeah. Long story short, that's pretty much why I'm going to be involved in the DSA. And, I see people are saying, fuck the DSA. I mean, don't you think you'd have better luck doing in an actual communist party? Well, you see, the problem with that is that there is no CPUSA or PCUSA presence in my town. There really is no communist presence in my city. And I got purged from the PSL. God knows I'm not joining a fucking trot org. I'm not joining Socialist Alternative. There is no Freedom Road Socialist Organization. The issue is there's a very limited degree of communist presence. So, seeing as that the DSA is like the most prominent show in town, and they're the ones doing the most work right now, I think that simply by joining them and doing that important work on its own, I think that's valuable enough in my eyes. Also, it looks like it's about to rain, but I'm not going to kill the stream unless it starts downpouring. Anyways, let's see. I tried joining a communist party here in Canada, didn't hear back. Well, that's their fault. If there's nothing going on in your local area, then fuck it, start something, That's what I say. Start something in your local area or municipality, like a reading group, mutual aid group, like a community garden of sorts. That's what I wanted to do. I talked to some of my neighbors about collectivizing some backyards like a couple months ago. And I did get some phone numbers and I did get in contact with some people. I mean, my plans sort of fell through on that just because a couple of them backed out at the last minute. But me and my next door neighbor are crop sharing right now. So we're exchanging, seeds, and we're going to be exchanging fruits by the end of the summer, fruits and veggies. So, I got a semi collectivization thing going on with my 55-year-old weird neighbor, but he's a cool guy. My 55-year-old boomer. The DSA was founded by but they're a multi-tendency party. Like, they're not all Trotskyists, is what I'm trying to say. So I think there's value. And Leftism Today is here. Let's add you to the stream.
What's up?
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me
We're out
fine?
here. Yeah. Can you hear me fine, I think?
Yeah, I hear you great. Nice to hear from you again, comrade. I was
Yeah,
just
for sure.
talking about my concern or my desire or how I am joining the DSA because I just submitted an application.
Oh, really? You are?
Yeah. I've decided I'm going to join it because they're the most active party in my area doing the most important work on a local standpoint, and because I think there's potential to form a tanky caucus within the next few years if I'm involved in it long enough. So that's kind of the plan, is to, cliche as it sounds, no pun intended, push them left.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard there's Marxists in the DSA, but I'm not sure, honestly. Or not even Marxists, but just non-liberal progressives. Like, I guess it just depends on your area. People overestimate or they kind of write off the DSA, but there are good people in the DSA. But if you can do good things for your community in the DSA, then I'd say, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
But
sure. Mhm.
I mean, that's pretty much it. I don't know. Are you in any orgs right now? Just curious.
No, I left everything. I was in PCUSA a long time ago, but I left. I left before a lot of other people left, and I never really gave the reason why, but now that other people did, I guess I can just kind of say the same reasons. I feel like it's kind of a dinosaur of a party. It's not an offense to PCUSA or anything like that, but personally, it's just very hard to deal with.
I'm honestly very strongly contemplating leaving just because they aren't willing to accommodate my work schedule with respect to their online or their webinar classes, because they'll have these call-ins. They'll have us call into a communal meeting where we'll talk about historical events, and Angelo will give his lectures, and I'm not even able to participate because they're always at 8 o'clock and I work second shift. So I'm like never there. So I almost feel like there's not a point in me being in there, you know?
Yeah, probably not, especially with the dues and everything.
Yeah.
I just would not say it's worth it. With that was part of it. Number one was the dues, and I had absolutely no influence or any voice in my club. So I mean, and another thing is, I mean, there's a lot of really cool people in Pacific District, but overall, I just left because I kind of feel like it's a aging machine, and like I'll be honest, it is a bit boomer worshipy. So I don't know. That's why I left, but yeah.
Fair enough. I do like Angelo though, because he's an OG. I respect him
Yeah.
because he's an OG, and I respect what he's trying to do. And I think there's a lot of wisdom in his words. Like, every time I talk to Angelo, I feel like I'm learning something new because he's seen it all, dude. He's been a communist since he was a teenager, and
Yeah,
he
I
even
know.
this. Yeah, no, he lived in vacations to the Soviet Union during the 1970s, which is pretty cool. And yeah, so I think he's pretty based.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think so too. I think it's just the infrastructure that they operate around is just so It's kind of hard to deal with, honestly. It's very slow, and it just there's so many fucking bureaus you have to go through to breathe. It's so hard to do anything in the PCUSA. I mean,
Too much
yeah,
centralism, too much centralism, not enough democracy, basically.
yeah, I would honestly say that. I was like considering for a while, like, because Danky's party, like the club system that CPUSA has is really good, but they don't use it properly. Like no, like I don't even have a club here, and I'm in Southern California. Like there's probably I think there's one in like Long Beach or something. That's like 2 hours away from me. The club system's good, uh, and replicating it would be really good. But I mean, if a DSA had a club system, which I'm not sure if they do, but if they did, that would be really good because like I just really enjoyed the club system of CPUSA. So
Yeah, I have I haven't been in the CPUSA, but I've had a couple encounters with them, and I'm shameful to say that my first encounter was rather negative because there was this really cool. There's a lot of boomers in the party, but the major turnoff and why I didn't join it is because, well, one, same issue with CP USA. They have like no presence in my hometown. But the other reason why is because they just felt like the wing of the Democrats because they were talking about how it was absolutely tantamount to stopping Trump and the far right. And I'm like, oh, not you guys. Like, holy fucking shit. So when he was talking about voting for Biden when the time comes, I was just like, fuck that noise, and I was off. I was just
yeah,
through.
yeah. I mean, it just yeah. They like people don't lie when they say that Democrats have infiltrated the CPUSA. I mean, like there was a point in history where like 1/3 of the CPUSA members were feds, and it's just hard to deal with. I mean, the CPUSA it's slow. It's just it's a slow, broken down machine, honestly. And I know there's a lot of efforts by like I think Caleb Maupin and whomever to try to infiltrate it and join it or whatever, but I don't know. I mean, the bureaucracy in CPUSA is massive, so
Yeah, the thing is the CPUSA really is just kind of a shell of its former self in a similar manner to the IWW. I would join the IWW before I joined the CPUSA. I'm not going to lie. Um, I see a lot of promise in the IWW. I mean, it would be nice to have union support. We're trying to unionize my own workplace, but Lord knows how that fucking went last time. But I don't want to give up, man. I don't want to give up on my peeps.
yeah. I mean, that's all we have, you know. At the end of the day, all we have is where we work and where we live. That's our strongest asset. The fact that we live next to people who go through the same thing as we do, they understand like our problems and they understand why we're struggling. Well, they don't understand why, but they understand that we are struggling. So it's just about showing them why. I was actually talking to Default yesterday, and I had a good conversation with Default where Default was talking about the importance of online stuff. And I actually agreed with Default on that because I mean I think it's good. You know, a lot of people are worried about security issues, and a lot of people are worried about what would happen if they got exposed for having these beliefs. And like another thing too is that a lot of like the alt right shit that gets launched, like the Unite the Right rallies, that was completely launched from online. So I'm actually in a lot of agreements with defaults on that. That we need to basically come together and try to unite as many people on the left as possible to do some stuff online from online, like launch it from a Discord or some shit, some kind of action, because that would get press coverage and everything.
Yeah, okay, so my issue with launching things from Discord or the internet, Discord is actively monitored by the federal government. And in terms of like action or activity, I think to the extent we should use Discord is like strictly to connect with other left wingers. Beyond that, I think like we actually need to move the actual like real life praxis and action to a better platform, one that's more discreet. That's why a lot of my activist friends use Signal and so on. But it's even more discreet than that. I mean, it really depends on the sky's the limit with how much network security or operational security you want to run. But ideally, you want your OPSEC to be as tight as possible. So I wouldn't really recommend launching actions through Discord.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something. There's always like Telegram or another platform like that, and it's not like we're gonna be launching. Like, I understand the targeting of like any kind of activity we do, but we won't be launching illegalism. We could just put it on Telegram. To be honest, it'll all be encrypted, and that would be fine. And
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm
I
a big
mean, yeah,
believer.
Telegram's good. Yeah.
I'm, I'm more of a Confucius guy than a legalist, anyways. So you know,
Uh huh.
you may be about your legalism, but I'm about that Confucius. You know, nah, that was a
No.
bad joke. Anyways,
Yeah, I mean, we could. Well, I thought that was pretty valid. That's why starting to do the shit I am. Like, that's why I like archived all my stuff, and I'm getting a VO now, and I'm gonna like up the professionalism 100-fold because I'm gonna try to be like second thought, like super mainstream, and no more name calling and stuff like that. I'm gonna try to bring everyone together as much as possible. Like, I've wanted everyone to come under different people's wings. Like, before, I wanted it to be Caleb Maupin and Jason Unruh, but honestly, like, I know I am capable of like not splitting, even though I have split a lot in the past. I know, like, for sure, I can go a while or even forever without splitting with people. So I just want to have like this platform that's influential, that I can guide people towards that, because I think it's good. I think it's good. Like, being able to like, one thing I was talking about with
I'm
default
listening.
is how we could what's it called? Is how we could get people to to spam, or not even to spam like targeted attack, but just get people to promote things online. And that's actually how I found out about being an ML, was because I was watching that guy, what's his name, Libertarian Socialist Rants, and there was like 50 MLs in the comments who were spamming, and that's how I personally found out about being an ML. So I mean,
Yeah,
yeah, I
for
think it's
me,
good. Yeah. Anyway.
it was the Finnish Bolsheviks' response to a couple of uh, LSR's videos, like libertarian socialist rants, infantile criticisms of ML that I thought were valid until I watched the Finnish Bolshevik come along and, well, for lack of a better words, totally rape him, like ideologically. Like, and after seeing that, honestly, Finbol basically converted me on the spot. Like, I was already getting more sympathetic just watching Jason Unruh, but it was really Finbol where it was just the ideological break from anarchism for myself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like Jason was part of it, and then it's just so crazy because when I discovered all those comments of MLs, I was like, what the fuck? People actually like Joseph Stalin? Like, I was like, Joseph Stalin literally killed 20 million people. That was an undeniable belief. Like, I would go around saying that, hey, did you know Mao killed the most people in human history? Like, I would say that, and I would say he killed like 80 million people. Because that's just what I learned in school. And I just had to
Well,
memorize that.
yeah, and then we pick up some history books and we learn that the history is actually way more complicated than that, and that Stalin and Mao aren't like these evil mass murdering tyrants that, they've been made out to be by like modern bourgeois history or intelligentsia anyways. Like, I'm not saying Stalin and Mao didn't kill people, but it's not like, they deliberately killed millions of people. That is bullshit.
Yeah, people don't understand how big millions of people actually is. Like, how big that number is in terms of actually visually imagining millions of people. And You know, that's why the Holocaust is such a big deal, because 6 million people is just a ridiculously massive number. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I'm with you. But the point is that we got radicalized by these ML channels. The problem is that YouTube is a great platform for starting a channel, but the issue is like being able to connect and relate these struggles and these topics directly to people. The reason why like RedTube and Radlibs have been so successful is because they're able to relate to people and like completely obliterating the alt right, like anti fascist propaganda has been useful, and they've been useful up to the point that a Noam Chomsky has been useful for us, but they have their hard limits. And like Noam Chomsky, their actual theory and practice is shit. And when it comes to like their historical interpretation of socialism, they're no different from like anti-communists. And that is a problem because we need more communists. We need like the people that are all about radicalism and discipline and studying theory and doing the practice and having like a politically inclined scientific mind. The very people that are responsible for leading real meaningful change in the world are the very types of people that end up getting demonized by the system, even from people who are on the left. So we're not only fighting an uphill battle against the system itself, we also have to contend with all these other left wing voices that are like bourgeois media light or just petty bourgeois socialists, like left liberals, basically, is what we're contending with. And the mainstream media allows some degree of presence for that because it's an outlet, but it's an outlet that doesn't really like yield any fruit. Look how fucking useless the social democrats and the radlibs have been, like how utterly impotent they've been in ensuring and change. So that's where we need to step in. But my idea is that we basically infiltrate their platforms. We get on their platforms, you know, this little Blankist theory, although I'm by no means a Blankist, doing a little conspiratorialness and basically infiltrating these breadtube platforms just so that we can take the piss out of them in front of their own audience.
Yeah,
It's
I
one
agree with
strategy
that.
I have.
Yeah, I agree with that, because that's actually how I got on Vosh's live stream. I lied and said I was from some like big professional ML reading group, and so he had me on thinking I was just gonna kiss his ass probably, and then I just come on and ambushed him, and he had no idea what to do. And then I'm sure everyone here remembers Enigma. Enigma was like prolific for going around and actually infiltrating these bread tube like discords. Like I remember Infrared got on some live stream and did a debate because of Enigma. Enigma would
Uh huh.
basically pretend to be a fan of this like bread tuber and then get like Hawes on, and then Hawes would ambush them. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good thing, because these guys have thousands of people watching them, and it's just, you know, like being in front of thousands of people, no matter what, even if it's on the internet, is a really, really big opportunity.
Yeah. Like I gained like 400 subscribers for my Vosh debate. I mean, so I mean, even though like I didn't perform as well as I would have liked, personally, I think I could have done a lot better. But even with me not being at my best and not being at my most prepared, I was still able to net like 400 subscribers out of it, you know? So, yeah, like there's a lot of value in going on these platforms because even if you don't perform well, if you perform, the better you perform, the more subscribers you'll get. Um, but you would have to do really well for that. But another issue is like the ideological barrier. Like after a certain point, there's a threshold. You can only do so well. Like after a certain point, you have to understand these people at the end of the day are libs, and people aren't going to change their mind just because their favorite demagogue lost a debate to someone they disagree with. You know, they're just going to cope. They're going to turn around and cope and be like, oh well, you know, yada yada yada, or they're going to talk about the tone and so on, or just irrelevant bullshit. But to compensate for the fact that they're wrong. You know, it takes a
Yeah.
while for people to change their minds, especially when people have entrenched ideology. It's a struggle, an
Yeah,
ideological
yeah.
struggle.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the best thing that we can do. for those kinds of people is just plant the seed of doubt. Like maybe my favorite, e-celeb isn't actually the genius that I think he is. And I think I
Yeah,
did that
exactly.
because, yeah, I had a lot of people DMing me who were like, "Hi, I'm a Vosh fan." And it was surprising too. They were like, "Hi, I'm a Vosh fan, and I don't think he treated you right." Because in that debate, I actually wasn't belligerent. And I think
Yeah,
that's the first step is not being belligerent or anything like that, because then people
that
will just dismiss you.
that was my biggest fuck up because before the debate, I got stage fright because I knew I was about to talk in front of thousands of people. So I busted out the Cruzon 151. And I mean, I didn't get plastered, but I had a few shots and it lowered my inhibitions enough to where I didn't feel anxious during the debate. But it also had the unfortunate drawback of the second Bosch started insulting me and gaslighting and using his shitty debate tactics. I almost immediately stooped to his level. And I didn't start using debate tactics, but I did start insulting him and talking shit just because he was being an ass, you know? And I
Yeah,
think that was a huge mistake on my end. And the interrupted.
yeah. I mean, do you know who Jack Angstrike is?
Yeah, he's like this master of the labor theory of value.
Yeah, that guy. I want Jack Angstrike to go on Vosh's live stream, honestly, because like he's not he wouldn't get not only would he not get nervous because he's already debated in front of so many people, but I feel like he wouldn't get well, first of all, he's probably the most knowledgeable person on the internet about the subject besides like a real economist with a PhD. But besides that, like he would really be the best because he doesn't get emotional. He doesn't fall for the bullshit debate tactics. He will bring it back and he will say, "Answer this question," and Vosh will deflect, and then he'll expose that, and people will get sympathetic to him. And I'm glad he went on Destiny's stream. He should definitely go on Vosh's stream.
Yeah, I 100% agree. The issue is Bosch agrees with the LTV from this weird postmodernist standpoint. He doesn't agree with it because it's a scientifically proven sound theory. He agrees with it because of ideology. So I don't really know how a debate in regards to the LTV would really go, but getting them to talk about it would definitely be a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, another thing too is Angstrike is also really, really knowledgeable on philosophy. So he could, I mean, like, if Angstrike went on Voss's show and they entered like some contention with each other, which I know for sure they would, then it would be over for Voss. Like, all Voss could do is just use his stupid debate tactics at that point. And there are so many people who are already sympathetic with Angstrike because Angstrike is, he's really smart. Like, he's been doing this for like over a decade. So, like, honestly, we could have a psyop where we email Vosh or something like that, because that's how you get on the show, or like one of us emails Vosh or something. And that's why I was kind of talking about the centralized internet thing, because we could coordinate this. But like one of us emails Vosh, and he probably knows who Jack Angstrike is by now, but we try to get him on somehow. Like we just make up a lie and get him on, and that would be really, really cool to see, honestly. Because
Yeah,
yeah, that'd be really good to see.
I agree. I just don't know what the topic would be. Victor Magarino would be another good alternative because Magarino is just an absolute genius when it comes to Marxian econ. Like this dude is straight up like he's on a different level. Is all I'm trying to say. Like LT, you think you're well read? You think I'm well read? No, Victor Magarino is like not even a level beyond. He's like 12 levels beyond us, dude. He knows his shit. I'd want to see him on Bosch's stream too. He deserves the exposure.
Uh huh. He's very professional too, so that would work really well. You can I don't think he would fall from like the emotional manipulation bullshit or whatever.
Oh yeah, no. It's funny because I keep going referencing my debate with him, but that's exactly what he did to me. Is like constantly casting doubt on my own sanity, my own thoughts. I fucking hate that shit. It's ridiculous. But I think we should both try again. We should both try to go on Bosch's stream again. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what if you get you on Bosch or Destiny stream, get you on a second debate? Would you try it?
Yeah, I mean, I'd go on any of their streams. Like, I'm gonna start spamming debate channels, even if they're smaller or whatever, to try to get on, just to try to get like mass broadcast exposure. Yeah, I definitely would.
Yeah. I'm gonna start doing the same thing, just messaging a bunch of these different. Like, one thing we should do is try to get on modern day debate. That's definitely a platform worth visiting.
Yeah, I feel like you could definitely get on there. I mean, most people on there are really stupid anyway, to be honest.
Oh yeah.
Like there's
Oh
like
yeah,
there's
for sure.
fucking like like I've seen like Eric Stryker and Vosh and like I don't know, just like really dumb people on there, to be honest. Like really, really basic, stupid people on there, to be honest. So I don't know.
Basic, basic bitches. Exactly, basic bitches.
Yeah.
Well,
Comrade Net says he wants to give solidarity to Comrade Net for sure.
yeah. On another stream, because Nets wanted to talk to you forever. I want to try
Yeah.
and get you two on stream sometime. But yeah. All in all, there are a bunch of other channels we can try as well. The issue is these guys aren't even like the real flagpoles. Like, they don't even touch millions of subs. I feel like we should, after a certain point, try to reach people that are known by millions of people and try to have conversations with them. Like, imagine if Richard Wolf were to come on my show. Like, what if when I start running chaos again, and let's say, I by some miracle schedule an interview with Richard Wolf, that would be good for that would be very good for my analytics.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it'll be really good when you have Moppin on too, because that's gonna blow you up.
Maupin hasn't gotten back to me. I've messaged him a couple times about scheduling a time, but I don't know. I think he's just busy right now.
Yeah, I'm sure he will. He seems like a really, really busy guy. So I'm sure he will
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, so having you on as a co-host regularly, I think would be good because I think you're pretty funny and entertaining sometimes. Uh, but most importantly, this isn't going to turn into another infrared. For love of God, no. Like, the issue with like the screaming tactic where you just scream at people is I want to attract an audience of intellectually honest people that actually care about learning. But if we just scream at people, then I just, I mean, we're going to reach people, but we're only going to reach people that are in it for entertainment value.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, I think it's just all about just planting the seed. Like, when
Yeah.
people get insecure about their beliefs, they'll go through all the phases of denial and whatnot, and then eventually they'll look into it. And if they see stuff like Jack Angstrike talk to Destiny, where Destiny is just literally giving word salads and he has absolutely no idea what he's saying. Like he just learned like Jack will tell him the definition of the theory and then he'll immediately try to debunk the whole theory. Like it's so stupid. Anyone could see through it. And yeah, I mean we have that on our side, the fact that we know what we're talking about. So it'll be good.
Yeah, yeah. No, Destiny, in all honesty, for all intents and purposes, is a moron. Like, he is not an intelligent person. Like, he's smart and the manipulative, cunning, reptilian, Machiavellian sense of the word, much like Bosch. These people are intelligent when it comes to like trying to manipulate you into agreeing with them, but they're not intelligent like in terms of like knowledge of political economy or history or theory. They like
Yeah.
lack they like lack that they lack that knowledge. Like I mean I noticed it during my debate, you noticed it during yours. The difference is that when I was debating Bosch, he was pretending to understand what he was talking about. With you, he was honest. He's just like, oh, I need to look into that. I need to look into that. He said that like several times when you were debating him. Not with me. He was just gaslighting me.
Yeah. I think it's just it's how we approach it. Like we need to approach them as a pretending to be their friends. Like if we approach them, they're going to use their typical slimy bullshit tactics. I guess when I went on Vosh's show, he thought I was going to be friendly and like kiss his ass or whatever, and that's why he was like, "Oh, I haven't looked into that, but I'll look into it." And meanwhile, like you can look at the chat, like all of his audience realize that every single point he's pretty much conceding. And yeah, I mean it's hilarious to watch.
Yeah. So that's what I was kind of thinking. If I were to go on a second debate, I'd want to end it on I started on a positive note where he gives conciliatory ground on a bunch of points that I'm making, because next time I go and talk to him, I'm basically going to build up to pretty much I'm going to come back to where we left off on the Soviet Axis talks, but I'm going to do a lot of building up to it, as in I'm going to talk about ruling class hegemony. I'm going to talk about how the capitalists influence the history and the media and will like rewrite historical events. And I'm going to provide proof for all of this. And then eventually I'm going to build up to the point to where we come back to the USSR using all of this logic, and I'm going to make him look like a dumbass if he refuses after agreeing with all these other points, or he's going to, agree and concede a shit ton of ground. So that's kind of my plan next time we talk. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, we just take this package of like conversation, because that's what a lot of the LTV people have done, like Ink Strike. They kind of take this package and they bring it to all of these different platforms, and they get a ton of exposure from it. And yeah, it'll be good. I mean, I'll be happy to, because I'll be happy to be able to point people to my channel. Like, I'm waiting for the voiceover guy. I paid $12 for that shit, and it's gonna sound really good, and I'm gonna edit it really good. And they'll come back to me, and yeah, it's just about mass appeal. So I'll be looking forward to it. I'll be looking forward to having a lot of views again, though, because when you make those
Yeah,
e-slip
no,
videos, yeah,
that's. I hate to say it, but you pretty much have to make videos about big YouTubers in order to get attention. And those aren't even really my most favorite types of videos to make. The problem is that people don't really, whenever I make videos about theory or extensive complex topics, like those videos don't net the same views or traffic as when I make content about big YouTubers. So that's why there's kind of an incentive to do it. But, you know, and that's the reason why part of my channel is devoted to making response videos and, debunking XYZ propaganda with evidence,
yeah, and you're
It's
really,
ultimately an
yeah,
educational. I'm listening.
yeah, you're really good at that too, because like your videos are really funny actually. Like your video on Pogan was really funny, and it's good too, because I guess it's just like we can synthesize the two. Like if we make I think just a video of spitting theory, it's gonna be pretty boring. But if we combine that with like the stakes of an e-slip, and all we have to do is just show the audience that we clearly know more and have clearly like disproven them, and that's all we really have to do. So yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
yeah, reaction videos are gonna be the future for us, to be honest.
Yeah, so since those are the videos that get the most traffic and attention, we could kill two birds with one stone, make an entertaining video explaining why someone's wrong while providing them an alternative in the form of Marxism. So we need to provide that alternative. We need to produce that outlet. I've got a number of highly educated, extensive videos planned. I've got one that I'm writing that's going to be an hour of addressing the economic calculation problem. You know what that is? The economic calculation problem.
Yeah,
The It's the right wing cope that you can't plan an economy because it's too complex. Well, I'm gonna be spending pretty much an hour straight railing against it and explaining how you can plan an economy in a bunch of different ways. That's gonna be the whole point of it.
yeah. I'm really excited. I'm really excited for what my channel is gonna be though, because I want to be like, I honestly want to be like the ML second thought, and the reason why I want to do it is because I want to centralize everyone. Like, what if we got all of these random guys out here who are fantastic, intelligent people, and they have all of this knowledge, but they are decentralized right now. They're in their own little space or whatever. If we had them, like if I gave them by being professional an incentive to come to my channel, and I could use my channel as a platform to centralize these guys' ideas and promote our ideas, and that would be really good because I'll be honest, we don't have like we don't have professionalism. Like I'm not professional and nobody else really is. Like you're professional, but I honestly feel like we have to I'm gonna like really boost up the production value of my videos. Like it's gonna be completely different. So
Well,
and it's not
I
hard. Yeah,
appreciate
yeah. Yeah. So
I appreciate the compliment. I mean, it means a lot to me that you think my videos are good and professional because that's what I'm shooting for is making some quality content. And of course, that person has to be mowing their lawn right now. So it means a lot to me, man. Appreciate it. But anywho, what else was there? Because there's
yeah.
quite a bit I want to. Yeah. So centralization. This was what I was talking about with my now enlisted stream, who I was also walking him while I was talking about it. But yeah, the need to consolidate. So I've been trying to reach out to Jason because he says he wants to have like the Maoist Rebel News Network. Like we really need to do that. Like we need to come together. But like I'm not gonna lie, bro, and this is coming from a place of love. But Jason, I feel like that Jason and a couple other people need to take more initiative on it because I'm down to participate. I'm down to like you know be like an on the ground journalist for Maoist Rebel News. Do the driving and the work, but or even just like an editor. There are a couple of roles that I can play, but I don't know. I just feel like Jason is very slow to move to act on this stuff for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe his
Yeah, I
personal
think
life's too busy.
yeah, I think it's just he's really busy and he's really stressed too, and I think well, you know what? I think the main thing that I want to have happen because Jason is so damn smart and experienced. And I was talking to Net about this. Like we need to build a team around everyone in MRN. And yeah, I'd be down to do that stuff too. I just like we could do that, but I want to build a good big internet platform so that way if we do something like that, I guess we could have more numbers behind us. Like I get like so I like the alt right knows what they're doing. Like the fact that the alt right voluntarily just go to poll or whatever, and then bam, like instant, you know, access to not only each other but anything they're planning or whatever. It's just ridiculous. Yeah, we need a team. Like Net's saying, we need a team. So yeah.
The issue, I wouldn't compare ourselves too much to the alt right, just because the way that they got famous and big is through extremely manipulative, intellectually dishonest methodology of agitating. Like we as communists win by telling the truth. Like literally, far right ideology is a belief system you literally have to lie to the other people, including yourself, into believing. It's, for lack of a better word, pure ideology. What I will say is that the reason why Pole is a Nazi shithole is because it got astroturfed by Stormfront, like a literal glow op, basically, but from Stormfront. Like they just went and they astroturfed the board. So, I mean, you could astroturf Pole and make it far left, but it would basically require you to purge all the moderators because they're the ones who keep it far right.
Yeah, especially now that, like especially now that you have communications with Moppin, and now that I got to talk to B level again, it'll be really cool to have everyone together because Moppin could do some pretty good stuff. Like if Moppin held a CPI meeting in person, I would spend fucking how much to go fly and go out there, to be honest, because I'm sure I could meet some cool people out there. And yeah, it'll just be good. I just want to, I'm going to, like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a big internet platform as big as I can. Just the worst, not the worst, but I guess for the algorithm, the best tactics you could use for the algorithm, because some of my videos have like 11 or 12,000 views, and that's pretty cool. So like all I'm gonna do is just continue doing that and upload schedule, and I'm just going to feed into the algorithm as much as possible and do everything I
Yeah,
can to get that exposure, because we're all really knowledgeable people. We don't have like the Trojan horse to get out there. We don't have like the chariot, I guess, to get out there. So that's at least what I want to do with my platform, since I have one.
yeah. So, I mean, I don't really know what format you plan on using, but I have three. I'm here in about a month. I'm gonna have three scheduled videos per week. An edited essay, like a video essay that's sat down, written, and professionally produced. Either on Friday or Saturday, I'll be hosting my podcast, which will run for about 4 hours, and then probably a live reading during the week between the hours 2 and 4 p.m. Just a weekly live reading with, participants directly from the audience. And the live stream, like the podcast Chaos, I'll be taking feedback directly from the viewer. Like, people send me clips, they like stuff to react to, news articles to read and react to, and I have different segments devoted to different topics. Like, hopefully down the line, once it starts getting bigger and bigger, I can start segmenting and just uploading individual segments. Because notice with like a lot of these big streamers like Hassan Piker, Xanderhall, Destiny, they don't just upload like the whole stream, they segment it. You notice that? Same with Kyle Kalinske. They segment their streams and then upload chunks on a daily basis. And that is what YouTube likes. YouTube likes when you shotgun content like that. And that's why live streaming is such a popular format now, because it emulates TV with all the ad revenue and ad breaks you can rake in shotgunning content. So it's going to start off once per week. If I can get enough Patreon money together, I'll probably start doing twice or 3 times a week. And what would be really, really nice is if I could get to the point to where I can quit my job. Money on Patreon where I can quit my job, I can devote all my time to being a full-time activist and agitator. And that's the dream.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel you. I mean, for me, my dream is just like everyone looks at me like they look at Second Thought, because Second Thought, like if I was Second Thought, I know I would be using my platform for, and I'm not bashing Second Thought or whatever, but he's not even like, he's not this, like, I know me and I know what I want to do, and if I had a platform like Second Thoughts, then I know I could do a lot of really cool stuff with it. So yeah, it'll be good. Like, I'm gonna have a lot of my content, the meat and potatoes, is just gonna be voiceover, good editing on an upload schedule, probably like Friday at like uh 1 p.m. my time, so Pacific Standard, and then I'll upload that, and best time, and I'll add in all the shit that you have to do, like tags or whatever, and a good thumbnail, and then I'll do that on a weekly basis, and then pretty much doing that, it's just going to be clips and then a really good professional, because I can write pretty good, so it'll be a good professional response with the voiceover artist, and I'll be doing that every week. And if I can, I will go out actually and proactively spam all these debate channels and get onto that. And I'll try to, I don't like StreamYard to be honest, but I'll try to like get some good professional streaming setup going on. I think we just need to
Yeah,
improve our optics. Yeah.
the thing is with StreamYard, the big problem with it is it's the only free one but it's free, but it's amateur. Like, if you want a good streaming service, there's a paywall you got to get past. Like, Streamlabs is way more extensive than StreamYard, but there's also like 10 times more stuff you can do. There's way more ways. Like, Streamlabs is used by most of the professional debate bros, professional streamers. So if we really want to get off the floor and get serious, we're going to have to get behind some paywalls. So that's just going to be a thing. The other thing is there are certain tactics that we're going to have to emulate from uploading at certain points during the day. And there's another thing we need to eternally keep in mind, which is the degree to which we have normie appeal. The reason why these channels get big is because they have normie appeal. And the easiest way to do this is water down your rhetoric. Water down your rhetoric and your message so that people can understand it more. Now, this is an interesting contradiction. We have to simultaneously grow the platforms while at the same time avoiding watering down our rhetoric. Now, ain't that something?
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard too, because sometimes I just want to go off, like, especially on these topics that, like, most people don't realize, like, all three volumes of Capital are pretty much about the LTV. So I just want to, like, go off and just dump them with information, but we can't do that's like something I'm guilty of. We can't do that. Like we have to just have a really basic message that we can push, like a really basic, just, you know, way to, like, slogan to troll, I guess, that we can use. Just water down the message, yeah.
Yeah, that's a problem because I mean, yeah, you'll reach more people, but like it's not good because then you basically, for more mainstream appeal, you begin to sort of be more and more mainstream, and you become the very thing you chose to oppose. Like if you gaze in the abyss long enough, it'll gaze back into you. That's something that we need to be careful about because look at I mean, for fuck's sake, I'm going to bring him up again. I'm tired of talking about him all the time. But yeah, like Avash. He started off as an ANCOM, right? Like just a hardcore, like ANCOM. But haven't you noticed what's happened to him? He's now like David Pakman in terms of like his appeal and his rhetoric. So my question is, if you take more right-wing stances and have further and further right rhetoric, yeah, you'll get more popular because there's a bias in the favor of the right wing when it comes to like the kind of content you produce. So we have an inherent handicap that we need to perpetually deal with. You know what I mean? And my question is, how do we
Yeah.
deal with it?
Yeah, I think it's just I think honestly, as long as we up the professionalism, then people are more inclined. Because I've looked back at some of my older videos, and like some of my older videos, I recorded them at like 1 o'clock in the morning when I'm home from work and I'm like super dead tired and I have to make this because I want it out. And we have to like, they have the advantage of playing with the algorithm that we don't. So we just have to emulate that. Like we just have to use those tactics, and no matter what, we'll at least get more people than if we didn't. So
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Just game the algorithm. Basically exposure, get our channels exposure. I mean, there's only so much you can do going through that route. There's only so big you can grow because at the end of the day, it comes down to like your level of appeal as well. We're going to have a very limited degree of appeal because our ideas are very radical. And the truth of the matter is that most Americans, I mean, yeah, things are getting more left wing, but I just feel like people aren't ready for that sort of rhetoric yet. They're not ready to hear like what revolutionary work needs to be done, like what truly needs to be done. People just want to follow blindly. They want to blindly follow a leader that'll just do everything for them, or like that'll just tell them what they want to hear, or they want someone else to do it for them, or they just want to throw money at something, throwing money without having to do any direct work themselves. So that's the real challenge, is taking an entire culture full of people and getting them to care and getting them to want to go out and do something about it.
yeah, well, I'll definitely try. I'll definitely
Yeah,
try,
I'm not.
and
I'm not.
yeah.
I'm
Mm.
not trying to be doomerish here. I'm just trying to be realistic. Like these are some of the challenges that we're gonna have to contend with and deal with. And you know, if you got ideas, guys, I'm all ears. Like, If there's any resources you can point me to, any advice you can give when it comes to just agitating and educating and organizing, you know, I'm always open for, there's room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. But this is definitely something that we're gonna have to be kind of experimental about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think I'll get far, honestly. I think I'll do good. I mean, maybe I could just fucking use that to hold on, let me cough. I think I can honestly use it to organize things. Yeah, I mean, I think it'll be good all in all. I think it'll be a really good experience. Like, just all front, honestly, right now, because right now we have a lot of tankies on the internet, and I think we could get them on all fronts to debate channels and all this shit, and convert some people and start getting some numbers, and hopefully start pushing them towards like some kind of central idea. Like if someone stumbles across Caleb Maupin, I want them to be just as big of a fan as Caleb Maupin as like anyone else here. You know what I mean? Like 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 I want that's why I want everyone to be on good neutral terms, or at least like good cooperative terms, because this kind of factionalism just won't work. So yeah. I mean, I know some
Yeah,
people will consider that like kind of idealistic because everyone's always going to have problems, but it's just about how we appear to the general public. Like, I don't want someone to be like to become a fan of Moppet or whatever, and then they start hating like us because it's just silly. Like at the end of the day, we're also people doing work. So
yeah, I agree, man. It's infantile. It really is just infantile how people will let small disagreements. Like one thing that's really annoying is the damn debate on China. Like I wish people, when I state my reasons for my stances, rather than like lashing out at me and getting really upset or wanting to split over this dumb little disagreement, would just respect my opinion and work with me, you know, because
yeah,
people will get so zealous about topics like why are we so concerned about whether or not China is socialist? Why aren't we concerned about how we're going to make America socialist? Let the Chinese figure that out on their own. Our job as Americans should be to try and figure out how to do it on the home front. Let the Chinese figure out how to do socialism, you know, on their own. But anyways,
yeah, it's just silly. Like, so many people argue about this, including me. Like, we'll never be Chinese citizens. We'll never be in the Chinese Communist Party. So there's like absolutely like even if we thought China was the global perfect example of socialism, it's not like we could even do anything to support it. Like us as Americans
yeah,
here, because we're not Chinese citizens, so we don't live in China. So yeah, it's just this. It's a tired debate, and it's completely and worthless. Like all it does is just cause people to split. That's all it's good for, is just causing people to split over this really silly disagreement. So that's what I say.
yeah, yeah. And with respect to that, I'm with you there. But there's a couple comments engaging in the philosophical foundations of your arguments to really change minds, like from first principle level kind of shit. Uh, Radicalism isn't the cause of being unappealing. Take a look at religion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
no. The no, I mean, in general, the issue is really just hegemony. It's the who controls the platforms and the narratives and so on, and what needs to be done to change that. I mean, the good news is we live in the information age, so it's easier to reach people than ever before. Um, but we got a serious problem where we're at, where like the algorithm will pretty much keep us all in the same bubble. So if you make like socialist content, you might attract other socialists. If you make fucking tanky content, you're just going to attract other tankies, and there's a limited amount of them. And given how sectarian we are, and and I'm not gonna lie, there's no shortage of dumbasses in the world. So I mean, that's just kind of an issue I'm concerned about. Let's see. I think we need to address the modern general stance on colonialism and what's to be done about it. All right, man, you are talking about tensor calculus in the fifth dimension, because that is something that I have not thoroughly investigated enough. And I'm not going to make any comments about it just because I feel like it's a very sensitive and divisive issue. And I'd rather just not talk about it right now. But sure. Honestly, Caleb Maupin intentionally looks like he wants to stiff neck fan fiction. What? Could you? Hey, what is he saying?
Stiff neck fan fiction? I don't understand.
Yeah, me neither. Can socialism or communism commit imperialism? No. Imperialism is not just an action; it is a state of being. If you have monopoly capitalism, if you have a financial oligarchy and you're exporting capital and dominating foreign markets and labor, then yeah, you're imperialist. But socialist countries do not have a financial oligarchy. They don't export capital. I mean, I guess they can export capital, but they aren't doing it with like the intent of private enrichment. Is what I'm trying to say. I know that the Chinese tried to like say like the Soviets were doing social imperialism. Ooh, they basically appropriated and co-opted the term social imperialism to describe Soviet foreign policy, but Soviets weren't imperialist. That's not to say they didn't flex their military muscle in order to like crush rebellions and uprisings in the Warsaw Pact or the Eastern Bloc. And or engaged in adventurism in some countries, but again, that's not economic imperialism. Anyways,
Yeah.
but I think we should. I'm gonna, for now on, at least for the foreseeable future, I won't talk about the Soviets unless someone is shitting on the Soviets or the Chinese. I'm pretty much at that point. I want to prioritize like the now and the socialism in the now and convincing people why we need socialism in the now, right? So that's what my next videos are going to be concerned with more than anything. I'm fascinated with Soviet history, with socialist history. I think it's a beautiful, wonderful history. It's a wonderful topic, but in line with the normie appeal, people just aren't ready to hear it yet, you know?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be done with that too. Like, I guess all I really want to do is just, every time someone's gonna bring that up, like honestly, my response is just gonna be like, "Who cares? The Soviet Union is gone." And any, any mature person should be able to get past that. And that's what I want to do because so many people get caught up. So many people like they try to be debate bros, and so they launch this campaign where they learn all about Soviet history, and then they get bogged down into a debate about Soviet history. And there's really no point in even debating that because I mean, at the end of the day, like if you just Google bad things that the Soviets did, you're gonna get like 500 million articles on it. But it's a lot less so when you just Google like about socialism. It's like, oh, young people are into socialism, and even if it's revisionist, um, it's still a lot less contentious. It's still a lot less of a bad look if you do that, I suppose.
I just want to answer this question. I'm not a
Yeah.
Maoist. Moving on. I'm not I'm not a Maoist. That's not my thing. So just that's all I'm gonna say about that. How can you be a Maoist and in the DSA? I'm not a Maoist. And even then, like DSA is the most active political group in my area that's actually trying to make progressive change, and that's why I'm involved. Keep in mind the Bolsheviks were involved in reactionary trade unions. They didn't let that stop them. So yeah. Anywho,
Yeah, I mean, I don't call myself one either. I mean, I'm so done with labels to be honest. Like I will call myself an ML because I am one, but I'm not about labels anymore or anything like that. I'm just interested in giving because like what if I did call myself an MLM and then I agree with some kind of policy that contradicts it? Then it just creates this unnecessary split.
Yeah.
So yeah,
How can you be a Maoist? How can you be a Maoist and believe in juggling meat pies on Tuesday? How can you be a Maoist and you believe in walking on your hands, or you know, saying this, and that? So I don't know. Mao is central uh, cause. Like there are so many different breeds of Maoism.
yeah,
There's like a bunch of different strains of Maoism, and they don't even agree which one is the correct one. You know, like you've got Gonzaloists, just standard MLMs, Maoist third worldists. I don't know. I'd rather just not associate with it because they are way too fringe and they're so small and irrelevant that all they can do is attack one another like they're in rival gangs. And I'm not about that life. So, you know, maybe I don't have the most correct line ever, but I think the important thing is that I'm out doing important work, and getting people interested in socialism.
yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, and Gemini brings up a good question. Gemini Gizmo. Any good Marxist economic YouTube channels?
Yeah,
Who's that one guy? He was like Marx. What is his name?
I have no idea.
Uh, there's this one guy that talks about Marxism economics. Somebody help me out here in the chat. Who is this guy? I'm looking him up right now, but I can't find him. He has really good graphics, really good production value. That guy is really good. Somebody help me out
Yeah, I
here.
don't know.
The delay is anyway, I
Well,
remember that one, but anyway, yeah, moving. Oh, it's the Marxist Project. I'm talking about the Marxist Project. I found it. The Marxist Project I would
yeah,
definitely recommend for that. He's a really, really and he's still uploading too. So yeah, I would recommend that.
that's good. Yeah, that's good. That's very good. Hey, I wanted to
So,
answer this. The
uh,
main argument that rightists and primarily the internet rightists have is the projection on the left is hypocritical and tyrannical. You just need to deconstruct it. You just need to not fall into that stereotype. Like the likes of the rad libs fall into that stereotype because it's true. When you have left wingers coming out here and advocating for like censorship, corporations have a right to censor people and so on, and we're supposed to be against private property. I can see how that seems kind of hypocritical. All you do is break the stereotype and show that you're not a hypocrite. We have to differentiate ourselves from the rad libs as much as possible. That's basically it. When someone brings up, you know, China, Russia, Vietnam, or Cuba, and they're wrong, I'm gonna correct them. Like I'm not just gonna agree with it. I'm gonna show that they're wrong and demonstrate it. But otherwise, from here on out, I'm gonna try to talk about it as little as possible and just focus on like what I think we should be trying to do now. You know?
yeah, there's a lot more important. Believe it or not, guys, there are a lot more important things that go on in the average American's life than whether or not China is socialist. So,
Yeah. No. Oh man, I'm like 3 months behind on my rent, but this guy on the internet told me that Xi Jinping wants socialism by 2050. I feel so much better now.
yeah, it's just we're never gonna appeal to anyone like that. So it's
Yeah,
not even dumbing
we're
down the message
definitely not
either.
gonna.
Yeah.
We're also not gonna appeal to people if we try to if we seem like we're advocating for certain policies. Like so there was a interview. Someone interviewed me, like the political talk, the political Discord interviewed me one time, and they asked me if I was in favor of gulags, and I'm just straight up like, no, I don't want it. I'm against penal labor. I think if there is prison labor in the future, that it should be completely consensual and voluntary, and it should be an option on the table if somebody wants to work off some of the time off their sentence and get out of rehabilitation sooner, and that we need to completely abolish the prison system as we know it and replace it with rehabilitative justice. On the topic of the gulags, all I say about it is they were a product of the time. Prison labor is not a uniquely evil thing, and that while it may have made sense for the time, I in the 21st century am not in favor of, compulsory or penal labor. I'm against it. You know, the whole point is that these countries were a progressive force relatively from where they were coming from, and I think that's what we really need to emphasize whenever the topic comes up. They were a progressive force for the time. That doesn't mean we want to re-emulate them verbatim because we are progressives at the end of the day. We should be advocating like better alternatives than what's going on now. You know?
Yeah, I mean, that infrastructure for gulags and forced labor was already a part of the Russian Empire for a very, very long time. So, and yeah, and anyway, they were abolished not soon after anyway. So,
Yeah, they were abolished and just replaced with regular jails. The Gulag populations by the 1980s numbered at about 300. Otherwise, penal labor was abolished for the most part. Anywho,
yeah.
but the corpos do have the right to censorship. This fact opens the door for economic nationalizations and making constitutional rights. Yeah, no, and it's kind of funny. It's ironic hearing right wingers. What I like to do is I like and liberalization, and I demonstrate how. I mean, yeah, you can definitely fuck with their head by pointing that out. And it's so odd because you're hearing right wingers call for turning these platforms into public utilities, and I agree. So I don't know. That is something we could actually collaborate with right wingers on because broken clocks right twice a day.
Yeah, I think so too.
All right. For some reason, people keep mentioning fucking Moppin, like Moppin, Moppin, Moppin. What about Caleb Moppin? Accelerationism heavily scolded by Mount Maupin for its lack of potential pop. Okay, yeah, no, accelerationism. I'm in favor of a different type of acceleration. I want to accelerate the profit rate to zero. And the way you do this is by granting concessions to workers. People don't realize immiseration does not create conditions for revolution. And also immiserating the working class and taking away concessions, all it does is restore the rate of profit and prolong the lifeblood of the capitalist system. So you don't have an excuse for not supporting progressive policy. Like, we should be in favor of higher wages and better living standards for workers because it takes that surplus out from the hands of capital and gives it back to the proletariat. So we should still be in favor of that. That's real acceleration. See?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, people don't understand the how close we are, like how close everyone is to getting it, I guess. You know what I mean? Like people don't understand. Like everyone already has problems, and everybody already understands that the system's bunk. So that like 98% of our work is done. It's just the last 2%.
Yeah, exactly. Someone said the closest thing I would approve of for acceleration is to get the military on our side. Most enlisted guys do not want to kill innocent civilians in these wars. And I mean, I don't know what you mean by that, but we should definitely get people to not join the military and be as anti-war as possible. Because again, war is one of those things that restores the rate of profit. Whenever they slice wages, inflate the currency, or do any of the little quantitative easing tricks that they do, it's to keep the profit rate afloat because the profit rate always trends downward. It's a general law. And well, it's not a law, but it's just a tendency, you know? And it just so happens the counteracting tendencies of the profit rate happen to be basically screwing the workers and the planet. So we need to fight for workers' rights and we need to fight for planet rights because it basically kills capitalism. Us fighting and getting concessions and, increasing solidarity. Like, it is important that we fight for these things. And I'm about other criticism. I'm not gonna lie, LT. I was flirting with third worldism for a while. I was starting to think I was on board with it, but I'm at a point to where I actually completely disagree with it now and think it's ultra.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I've never flirted with third worldism because I know my community, like I know I could definitely do good things for my community. And I'm not saying that third worldism is opposed to that. And there are a lot of aspects of third worldism that are right. But I think pushing a third worldist line is incorrect. I think we just have to, like, we have what we have in our communities, and that's it. Like, at the end of the day, we just have to work with that. And there really is no other
Yeah,
alternative, honestly. Like, I don't even see the point of pushing a third. I will support the third world, and I will support my community and be active in my community because this is where I live. This is where I was
yeah,
born, grew up. So I can't dismiss my community or whatever. So anyway, that's what I
ex
think.
ex exactly, exactly. I'm just gonna levy a few brief criticisms of it. One, uh, like I said, getting those concessions, even if you can't get revolution in the first world, the concessions and reforms will drive down the profit rate and bring this system closer to its ultimate demise. Too, it'll increase levels of solidarity and organization and give workers a bigger bargaining chip, which will, give them more say in the political process. Like, we'll actually have infrastructure for workers' control if we do such a thing. And three, the rate of exploitation. Where do you think it's higher? Do you think it's higher in the first world or the third world? Because unequal
Oh,
exchange is often a point brought up by third worldists. Like, somehow the first world worker is a net exploiter because they get paid more or something. But there's a huge, huge hole in their argument. I want to see if you can find it.
yeah, I mean, even if the rate of exploitation in the third world is higher, there still is exploitation in the first world. And there's, exploitation, like, especially if you read Cockshot, Cockshot just boils it down at the end of the day to what your labor is worth versus what you were paid. So there is always going to be exploitation no matter what in the capitalist system. Like, you're never going to get what you deserve to earn because businesses literally just don't function that way. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, so no, the truth is that the rate of exploitation is higher in the first world because of productivity. If you look at the productivity to wage ratio in both, like if you look at the number of countries to the productive output, you'll actually find that it is the first world countries where we have way fewer workers involved in the productive process and we produce so much more. So the rate of exploitation is actually like several times higher in the first world. And the reason being is because of productive forces, like an Indian rice farmer out in the third world isn't going to be able to output and harvest as much grain as a modern rural worker operating a combine, like that combine is going to make a lot of difference with respect to how much he can harvest and so on. So it really does come down to productive forces more than anything. Productive forces are higher in the first world, and thus the rate of exploitation is higher. So it's not, I mean, I'm not saying imperialism doesn't matter, of course. It certainly does. I'm just saying, like, people underestimate the influence of ideology more than anything else, like ideology and all of this. And I think that's a bigger explanation for why things are the way they are. Because if you look at Eastern Europe, living standards went down after socialism went away, right?
Oh yeah, definitely, unquestionably, yeah.
Yeah, living standards went down. And yet in modern Eastern Europe, there are all these they're Nazis basically. Like Ukraine is a fascist shithole now. There's a bunch of like Nazis and fascists in all these Eastern European countries. How is that? The Nazis wanted to literally exterminate them, and now there's like a growing number of Nazis and fascists in Ukraine now, and it's because of ideology and really just a lot of ignorance on the history and so on. I don't know if you know this, but during the fall of the DDR in Eastern Europe in the 90s, did you know that like literally hundreds of thousands of texts were burned? Like these new governments just wiped out and obliterated all of this literature during that time. I mean, like entire libraries were closed, texts were burned, and the importance of like this stuff was just completely forgot about. And now you've got the CIA that's, of course, funneling grifter bucks to these Nazi groups in Eastern Europe. So point is that by third worldist logic, since they're more miserable, they have more incentive to, overthrow the system or overturn it and bring back socialism, right? And yet this is what we're seeing. So I think ideology has a very, very big influence on people's behavior and their activity. So I think yeah, that's my big issue with third worldism. But that's really all I had to say on that. So yeah, no, I'm never gonna give up on the people. At least not where I live,
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't know. Do you have anything else to say? Because I know we've been talking a bit, and I know you seem like you're mentally like fatiguing. So plus, I want to go. I want to go do cardio anyways. I want to go to the gym and do some cardio. That's right, cardio after my cardio. So I don't
No,
know.
I'm
You
good.
want to
I'm
close
good.
it off?
Yeah.
Yeah. Any final memes?
Uh, none that I can think of. Nope, I'm good. Go to the gym,
Hold on a
get
second.
fucking fit right now.
Oh, you know it. Someone says that's hard to believe, but I'd like to live in the first world. But like I'd rather live in the first. Well, yeah, no. Exploitation in the Marxian definition of the term is the ratio of your output versus like how much you get paid. So, yeah, it's true first world workers make a lot more, but they're also like orders of magnitude more productive because just of advances in the productive forces. Cockshot made a really good video on it recently, and I encourage you guys watch it. He does the math and he shows you the math.
Oh, he shows the math of exploitation in the first world.
Yeah, the rate of exploitation is way higher. So unequal exchange, like he addresses unequal exchange in his new video. It's really good.
Oh, that's weird. Let me see what my
Yeah,
my pro VO said on Fiverr. That shit costed $10. Yeah, okay. So it's coming. It's coming. The problem is that now it's Monday, so I have to wait till like Friday to drop it. But I guess that'll give me
right.
incentive to really focus on it and just really make it as professional as possible. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing anyway.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, shit, man. I don't know if you guys got any questions. I'll answer a couple questions, but I want to close this here in a couple minutes. But then wouldn't the third worldists just say that it isn't the level of exploitation, but the immediate conditions that lead to revolts? I mean, yeah, I suppose they could just shift to that argument and make that argument instead. But here's the thing, guys. Yeah, because people are not going to be content with the status quo if they, if they're suffering. But the thing is that there is such a thing as being accommodated to worse living conditions. Like the people in the third world are accommodated to, well, being in a less advanced third world country. So, I mean, you have to take that into account. And the other thing is, yeah, it's really the level of dissatisfaction that people have with the current system. So, like, here in the United States, imagine if like all the shelves were empty all the time. Um, there were gas shortages. People couldn't participate in like consumerism. There was like a ton of unemployment. Well, there is a ton of unemployment right now. But point is that if people are used to people are used to a certain accommodation of living conditions. If living standards are stagnating or they're deteriorating in that way directly very quickly, people will become very dissatisfied with the status quo very quickly, and they'll be open to solutions. Now, those solutions don't necessarily rationally follow communism. They don't necessarily follow socialism. People are going to go with whatever they think the solution is, and as it turns out, it's just as easy to manipulate people into fascism as it is socialism. So don't underestimate the power of ideology. Turkey is like a second world country on the bleeding edge of being third world, and they're like on the also they're basically ruled by a hardcore conservative government, you know. So
Yeah. Really
I mean,
burning question. Oh,
yeah.
huh.
No, go on, go on. I've been talking a
Anyway,
lot.
it's kind of a joke, but really burning question. When are you gonna read Maupin's book on BreadTube?
Uh, I don't know. Probably never, because
Really?
I don't know.
The holy
Well, I
the
might.
uh-huh.
If you can get me a PDF of it, I'll read it, but I'm not gonna buy it. I don't know. I might buy
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I might buy it. I don't know. I'd have to look into it, see if it's something that I'm really interested in reading. I mean, are you talking about like his book on the synthetic left?
No, he just recently published an entire book about BreadTube. Like it's called BreadTube is bad for the left or something like that. It's literally like titled after BreadTube. It's $20 on Amazon. Jesus Christ.
Yep.
That's
Well,
insane.
that is pretty expensive. I don't know. I might buy it. Sure, I'll support Caleb. I'll give Caleb $20 for a book. Go through it. Oh man, Caleb is a very intelligent, knowledgeable guy. And I will give him credit for that. And when I have him on my show, I look forward to interviewing him to talk about the history of American labor, because I think that's something that isn't talked about nearly enough.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm not bashing him or anything, but I mean, honestly, $20 for a book about BreadTube, that's a pretty funny idea to me. But anyway, yeah, I guess I'm good. I don't have anything else to say. So,
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Do you think I should keep the stream up or unlist it? I might unlist it.
I guess you can unlist it if you want to. I don't think anyone's going to be looking for it.
Yeah. The thing is I want to, like, whenever I do these spontaneous streams, I don't really want them cluttering my channel feed, which is the
Yeah, I know
reason why I
that.
started unlisting them. So I don't know. You guys want to rewatch the stream? I'll make sure the link is included on my Discord. You need a link to my Discord. You can find it on just about any video that I produce. I always link my Discord on my videos. Live streams, I haven't been doing it, but if you go to my most recent vid on Pogan, you will find a link to the Discord. So if you guys want to revisit the stream on the Discord, I'll make sure you can find a link on my Discord. But yeah, I think that's it. I'm gonna close.
Yeah, it's been good. All right.
Yeah.